Like everyone else, the teenager had done nothing wrong, just waiting at the airport. But one glance from a nervous white woman changed everything. In minutes, police surrounded him, demanding answers and treating him like a criminal. His heart pounded. His future was at risk. But then his mother arrived, and when she pulled out her badge, the room fell silent. She wasn't just any mother. She was the FBI chief. What happened next left everyone speechless. Was justice finally served, or would prejudice win again? Keep watching to find out. Jamal sat quietly in the airport lounge, scrolling through his phone while waiting for his flight. It was supposed to be a normal day until he noticed an older white woman staring at him. Her eyes held suspicion, her lips pursed in disapproval. He tried to ignore her, but she whispered to a nearby security officer. Moments later, two uniformed police officers approached him. "Sir, can you stand up? We need to ask you some questions," one of them said, their hands resting near their belts. Jamal's heart pounded. "What? Why? I didn't do anything." The woman's voice cut through the air. "I saw him acting strange. He's been here too long. Probably up to something." Jamal looked around. Other passengers stared, but no one intervened. He felt his stomach tighten. This wasn't about suspicion. This was about who he was. Jamal raised his hand slightly, an instinct after hearing too many stories of black men being accused of crimes they didn't commit. "I'm just waiting for my flight," he said. One officer looked at his ID and then exchanged glances with his partner. "Where are you headed?" "New York, to see my mom." The woman scoffed. "You expect us to believe that? No parents around? No ticket in hand? He's lying." Jamal swallowed hard. His boarding pass was on his phone. He reached for it, but one officer tensed. "Slowly," he warned. Jamal's fingers trembled as he held up his phone. "It's right here." But before they could even check, one officer's radio crackled. "We have someone on their way to verify the situation." Jamal's chest tightened. Verify? He had done nothing wrong, yet here he was, being treated like a suspect. Footsteps echoed through the airport. A commanding female voice rang out. "What's going on here?" Everyone turned. A tall black woman in a crisp suit, exuding authority, strode toward them. Her presence alone made the officers step back. Jamal's eyes widened. "Mom?" The officers looked confused. "Ma'am, we're handling a situation." "Handling," she cut in, flashing an ID so fast that the color drained from their faces. FBI Chief Renee Washington. The woman who had called the police paled. "You're FBI?" Renee's jaw tightened. "That's right, and that's my son." Silence, regret, fear, realization. The white woman's arrogance crumbled in an instant. The officers suddenly looked unsure of themselves. "We were just following a report, ma'am," one of them mumbled. Renee's eyes flashed. "A report based on what? That my son exists in an airport?" The white woman stammered, her confidence gone. I just thought he looked suspicious." "Suspicious?" Renee repeated, stepping closer. "Tell me, ma'am, what exactly made him suspicious? His clothes? His phone? His skin color?" The woman's lips trembled, but no words came out. The onlookers who had watched silently now whispered among themselves. The tension in the air was palpable. Renee turned to the officers. "So, did you find anything illegal? Any threats? Any actual crime?" One officer shook his head. "No, ma'am, he checked out." "Yet you were ready to escalate this, weren't you?" Renee's voice was sharp. The woman's hands fidgeted. I was just trying to keep people safe." Renee's laugh was humorless. "Safe from what? A teenage boy using his phone?" Jamal, standing beside his mother, felt a surge of pride. She wasn't just fighting for him. She was exposing something bigger. The police officer stepped back, muttering half-hearted apologies. The woman who had caused all this looked desperate. "I didn't mean any harm," she whispered. Renee wasn't done. "You see this?" She gestured around the airport. "Every black person here just saw how quickly a false assumption can turn into a life-threatening situation." People murmured in agreement. The world was watching. The woman looked at Jamal. I, I'm sorry." Jamal didn't respond. What was an apology worth when she never saw him as human in the first place? Just as things settled, an airline executive rushed over, breathless. "Ma'am, I didn't know you were here." Renee turned. "And who are you?" "I'm the CEO of this airline. Please, let's make this right." Renee crossed her arms. "And how do you suggest we do that?" The executive swallowed. "Perhaps a formal apology? A public statement? We value all passengers." Renee smirked. "Oh, I'm sure you do." She pulled out her phone and made a quick call. Seconds later, the executive's phone rang. His face went pale. "Yes, sir. Understood, sir," he stammered. Then turning to Renee, his voice shook. "You own shares in this airline?" Jamal's mother smiled. "That's right. So tell me, how will you be fixing your company's mistake?" The white woman gasped. The officers froze. Jamal grinned. They didn't just mess with the wrong boy. They messed with the woman who had the power to change the game's rules. The crowd stood frozen, the weight of reality sinking in. The woman who had called the police on Jamal now stood trembling, realizing she had just tried to ruin the life of the son of the most powerful FBI chief in the state. Gasps echoed through the street as Renee stepped closer, her gaze locked onto the woman who had judged her son by his skin, not his character. "You saw a black boy and assumed the worst," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But today, the world sees you." Embarrassedly, the officers quickly backed off, realizing they had nearly arrested their superior's son. The woman's face turned pale as she stammered, searching for words, but there were none. No excuse could justify what she had done. Jamal stood tall beside his mother, his head held high. "People like you want to define us by stereotypes," he said, his voice strong, "but we define ourselves." The bystanders clapped, some recording the moment. The woman, humiliated, hurried away, her face red with shame. But the story was far from over. This moment would go viral, a lesson about racism, assumptions, and power. And as Chief Renee walked away with her son, she turned again and said, "Next time, choose wisely." Enjoyed this story? Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. Let's spread the message of hope and unity together. Thanks and take care.